we play a game?
Why, yes. I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Live from Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. I'm Shane Stacks, your host. Thanks so much for joining me, whether you're listening over the air on 96.5 FM The Answer out of Little Rock, or if you're listening online via the 96.5 FM TheAnswer.com website via the live stream, or if you're listening via the podcast, because the show does go out as a podcast within a couple of days of the live show, and you can find that on the blog at shaneplays.com or via fine podcast directories such as iTunes and Stitcher. We're also carried, of course, a week delayed on Krypton Radio. KryptonRadio.com is SciFi for your Wi-Fi. I'm going to be joined today momentarily by a couple of friends, Bill Brackeen, who's a friend of the show and is co-hosted before, and also guest hosted, and then also comedian and host of the Brain Trust internet TV show. Michael Brown will be joining us as well, and we're going to be talking about comic book movies today. So that's going to be really cool. But before that, just want to make sure you know that this is live radio, and one of the reasons I do that is so that it can be interactive. So you can always call into the show at 501-823-0965, or you can tweet me at Shane Plays. That's ShanePlays. Tweet me at Shane Plays. And speaking of ShanePlays, we've got ShanePlays.com. You can always go there, and the show notes for today's show are up there right now. So as I'm giving out news items, or if I'm giving out information on my guests or anything like that, you can always go to ShanePlays.com, find the show notes, and get more information there. So that's cool stuff. I do that for you to make things easier. So we're going to dive on into the show. Like I said, we're going to be talking later with Bill Brackeen and Michael Brown about comic book movies. In fact, they're just walking in even as I speak. So guys, go ahead and set on down and get some headphones on, and we're gonna get crazy with our bad selves. So I had introduced you without you being here, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself now. So starting with comedian Michael Brown. Michael, I keep wanting to call you Mike.
You're my friend. You can call me Mike.
Mike. So, but
professionally,
you're professionally, you're Michael Brown.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and Brain Trust.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll try to be succinct.
Yeah, do that.
Been doing comedy stand-up comedy for about 11 years. I'm the professor emeritus of geekology.
Okay, which is cool.
And as such, I decided to combine the two together, created a game show called Brain Trust with Michael Brown, and we do the shows at game shops and comic book stores, or whatever venue will have us, frankly. And
if you'll let us come, we'll be there.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's a fun game show. We shoot it like a television show. We put it up on YouTube for free.
And it's like a geek quiz show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's YouTube's only geek-centric pop culture trivia game show that we know of.
That you know of.
Yes.
All right. That's kind of like saying that it's a left-handed, buck-toothed homosexual dentist from Miami. But you nailed the category.
Yeah.
Right? Now,
it's a very niche category.
I'm messing with you. It's not niche at all.
But I defy anyone to find anything on YouTube that's doing the same thing that we're doing.
Well, you're racking up subscribers like crazy.
Trying.
So good for you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to have more from you when we get into the comic book movies. And guys, we're about to do a new segment, so feel free to banter like your life depended on it. If you want
like
to.
a bantha.
Yeah, banter like a bantha. Of course, Shane Plays listeners should definitely already know Bill Brackeen, who has been a co-host and an actual guest host. So, Bill, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. Basically, we're all geeks, and we ran into each other at the Batman v Superman premiere on Thursday night. It's like, hey, why don't we do a comic book movie show?
Yeah.
And it all worked out. So
Let's
very
put
cool.
on a show.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Well, I was thinking
That's been
about
my whole career for a decade. Hey, let's put on a show.
Sure, why not? Let's do it. And we're joined. He said he's not going to say hi, but I'm just going to let you know that he's lurking like a cloaked Romulan. Is Bill's son Daniel. So Daniel, welcome. And we have Zach Zach, who's our new producer in training there? Who is this?
Sorry, no. Start talking. GL.
Yeah. Like Green Lantern GL?
You go ahead.
Or were you GL before Green Lantern was GL?
No, I wasn't GL before Green Lantern. I'm probably the current GL.
You are the current GL.
I'm probably the current one.
All right. None of them might get anything on you. Well, welcome. GL's going to be helping produce the show, so he doesn't know what he's getting in for. Zach can kind of prep him a little bit for that. But welcome. All right. So let's Zach, let's end GL. Let's turn on the microphone in the newsroom and see if those guys and gals are hard at work. See what's going on. Oh, there they go. They're working.
Oh, my goodness.
I tell you, Michael, it's hard to find good help on Saturdays.
I can understand
but these guys come in, and gals.
Yeah.
And they work
You found
hard.
anybody knows how to use a manual typewriter anymore.
Yeah, well, I got Sal in there. Sal has a trench coat and a fedora. And he actually had to go incognito for a while because the mob was after him, but he's back now. So
it's hard to do with that little press pass and the burner hat.
Yeah. Well, he pulls it off. He's old school as old school gets. So, but remember, folks, for every $1 of Patreon support that this show gets, the news staff gets a penny per hour raise.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So just here recently, they've gotten 8 pennies per hour. Just here.
How's
recently.
that whole Patreon thing going?
It's cool. I'm blessed to have sponsors. I'm trying to make this an experiment of sponsors and community support.
Right on.
Right. So it's going well. I'm not trying to.
We're attempting to do the same thing with Brain Trust, Frank.
Patreon is cool.
Yeah.
I know lots of people that are doing quite well with Patreon.
I feel so left out. I don't have a podcast or a game show or anything like that. To basically beg people for money for over the radio.
But but I'll tell you what you are, Bill.
Feel free to send me money.
You are an official entourage.
Yes.
Yeah, you're part of it. When we walk down the street and there's the entourage, you're in the lead, man. Bill Brackeen.
So I'm like Turtle, basically.
I guess, if you want to be.
Yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't have you drive. I would be driving, I think. I like driving myself. You're more like T, I think. Not Turtle, but T. T was like the guy who was the publicist. He was the
manager.
He was the manager. There you go.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, that seems like a really good role for you.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, let's get on to the news items, and then after that, we're going to be talking comic book movies, and probably a vaguely spoilerific, but not incredibly spoilerific Batman v Superman discussion as well. Let's see what we have time for. So, and guys, I want you to be thinking about what your favorite and your least favorite comic book movie is.
Done.
So that didn't take long. I got Dave Ellswick's. He texted me earlier. Dave, of course, is well-known in local Arkansas. Remember, folks, this is interactive. You can call 501-823-0965 or tweet me at Shane Plays during the show with your opinions as well. So, real quick, Baldur's Gate, for the computer role-playing D&D fans out there, Baldur's Gate, Siege of Dragonspear, which actually had developers Beamdog on last weekend, that game is out. So the first time in like 16 or 17 years, there's original new Baldur's Gate content, I think. And I've got a Let's Play series going. You can find it on the blog at shaneplays.com in the show notes. And Brain Trust is also linked there, so people can find the Brain Trust YouTube channel. Some local news here in Central Arkansas, the Central Arkansas Library System, CALS, if you will. The CalsCon 2016 is going on today, April 2nd. Yeah, I think until 8 o'clock tonight.
Right on.
There's a news item there. They're having panels, cosplay, all kinds of cool stuff. It's free. It's at the main library downtown. So if you listen to the show locally and you listen to the podcast version, too late. So you might want to listen live for news items like this. Just saying. But if you listen to the podcast, I just appreciate you anyway. All right, guys, we're going to have a slew. I have to say this, a veritable cornucopia, if you will, a veritable cornucopia of comic book movie news, right? Because A, that's the show today, and B, this stuff just naturally popped up.
How many news items in a slew?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. At least 10.
That's
at least 10.
Yeah. More than half a dozen, but less than a dozen.
Yeah, 10 evidently qualifies for a slew.
Okay.
All right, guys. Batman v Superman opens with $424 million globally. Mm-hmm. Biggest ever for a comic book movie. Mm-hmm. Now, we'll talk more about whether we like the movie or not later in the show. But and this is from comicbook.com. The slant here is that it didn't have the biggest domestic opening for a comic book movie, but it had the biggest international. Yeah. So there's definitely a divide, because Rotten Tomatoes is still sitting at 29%.
Yeah.
And Zach loved it. He's texting me. He's like, I loved I loved Batman v Superman. There's definitely a divide on this movie between the critics and the public.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see what kind of legs it's going to have, though, because there was a pent up demand for the movie, right?
Yeah.
So how well will it keep going? You guys have any thoughts on that?
Well, the first thing is I think it's going to have another really good weekend, simply on the basis that there's not another big movie opening. It may not, there may be a significant drop off from last week, but I think that it's probably still going to come in at number one just because it's still the biggest movie that's out right now.
All right. What about you, Michael? What do you think?
They've already made $500 million.
$500 million. Say it with a B, billion.
And it's a week old.
Right. But that's pent up demand.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But that alone is enough for a decade of sequels.
Yeah.
Whether it was good or not.
Right. Well, look at the Transformers franchise.
Exactly. Look at Fast and the Furious franchise. Let's take the superhero element out of it and just say movies. This movie has already made so much money that it's
guaranteed.
Regardless of critics or whatever. It is like Batman. Ben Affleck is going to be Batman for the next 10 years.
And I thought he was, again, we can talk about it, but I thought he was fine as Batman.
But as a movie goes, as far as the business side of it, buckle up, buckaroos. This is it. This is what we're being dealt.
The DC Movieverse is unleashed upon us.
Indeed, and it's only going to make more money.
Yeah.
It's making more money right now.
Yes, as we speak.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it kind of became almost a cottage industry to dislike this movie months before it came out.
Indeed.
And
I wasn't in that camp.
And it just, there's just so much negative stuff written about it. So much, Ben Affleck's going to be horrible. Oh, Jesse Eisenberg's horrible casting. Oh, this is bad. That's bad. I don't like Zack Snyder. I don't like and I think that it's also, the critics have made it pretty clear over the last year or so that they're tired of seeing superhero films. Whether the public is or not, the critics are tired of it, and the
critics can go jump off a cliff,
and their reviews are becoming
more and more
disdainful of the genre.
It just sounds like we need new critics.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I would.
Need a couple more critics.
I read an article where the reviewer basically said he didn't want to see any more movies like this because it's pushing the kind of films he wants to see off the screen, and then he wanted to describe some of those movies, and I'm like, those movies are playing at the Art House Theater right now.
Yeah.
You can still go see them. Nobody's stopping him.
Nobody's stopping him.
Well, I just want to say, without Mr. Critic, without comic book movies, we wouldn't have gotten Birdman.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Birdman was fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. So, moving on. And we will talk more about Batman v Superman. Deadpool is now the highest grossing R-rated movie ever at the worldwide. But and Michael has his I Love Chimichangas hoodie on. So, just blowing it away. Now, I think this is going to lead to a lot of R-rated super comic book movies that don't necessarily need to be R-rated because they're like R-rated sales. But I think you had to make an R-rated Deadpool movie to do it right.
Absolutely.
Right?
I completely agree with that.
But now they're talking about, well, maybe we need an R-rated Wolverine, and now the home version of Justice League or Dawn of Justice is going to be R-rated. Yeah. I don't know.
Go ahead.
No, you please.
I don't have a problem with an R-rated superhero movie
if it needs to be
long
R-rated.
as it's appropriate to the subject matter.
Right.
Kick-Ass absolutely needed to be R-rated.
Absolutely.
It was an R-rated comic. It translates to R-rated on the screen.
Right. The source material.
Deadpool is not necessarily an R-rated comic, but it lends itself to that sort of treatment. I don't want to see an R-rated Superman movie.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at.
I mean, Watchmen lends itself to
it needed to be R-rated. Right. Absolutely.
I don't want to see an R-rated film featuring characters that you use to sell my kids underwear and lunchbox.
Well, where I'm at, I don't want them to go, oh, R-rated really does sell, so let's make the next X-Men movie R-rated. Right. That's kind of where I'm. What about you, Michael? What do you think?
Well, R-rated superhero movies is not a new thing, as we all know. The success of Deadpool is just a lot of hype right now, I think, and again, I'm approaching this from a studio point of view, because movie studios are generally kind of stupid when it comes to.
Well, they just chase money like an
Well,
addict
right.
Nobody
It's
wants to be the
They're-
first,
right.
but they all want to be the second.
Exactly. And I'm not entirely sure why the extended dance mix of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice is when it comes out on home
They're saying
video.
violence.
Is it a violence thing? I know there was
Yeah.
I know specifically.
Well, there's some characters that don't even show up in the main movie. That
Right,
they only
and there are a
show
lot
up.
of scenes that aren't in the main movie,
Right.
which we might get to later. But I think it's just servicing the people who have the expendable income. It's essentially, which is like, not to put a point on it. It's us.
Yeah.
It's us. It's people our age who are in our 40s. We're adults, and we have the expendable income, and we're fans of this stuff. So they're catering more
Right.
to the adult geek audience versus the child geek audience. Now, and that's not to say that same with the critics. The criticism of the critics. Well, the critics. Oh, I don't want to see superhero movies anymore. Meh.
Yeah.
Well,
You win.
well, there is just as Bill said. Well, there's not a pair of shackles on you keeping
Right.
you from going to the art house film.
Right.
Now, I tend to agree with Bill that a R-rated Superman movie is not something I ever thought I'd ever see.
Yeah.
The character itself historically does not lend itself to an
R-rated.
R-rated movie, but. You're right. They are chasing the money, and the money is in the adult geek folks like ourselves who will, frankly, maybe not the people in this room, but thousands and thousands and thousands of people will scoop up that 3-hour R-rated movie.
Oh yeah,
and based on the money
There's
alone,
no
they'll
way
say it's
I'm-
successful.
there's-
Whether it's successful content wise is irrelevant.
as a geek and comic book lover, there's no way I'm not watching the home edition of Dawn of
Absolutely.
Justice. I mean, it's just going to happen.
I mean,
So-
I'll watch it. It's just if you were going to sit down and say, "Hey, I got an idea. Let's make an R-rated Superman movie."
Yeah, exactly.
I would look at you and say,
yeah, why?
no.
Right.
But I don't think they intended. I don't think when they first started the whole process. I don't think that it was initiated with, "Hey, let's make an R-rated Superman movie." I think they started it and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this can be an R-rated
Well,
Superman."
This is a
They're
good
certainly
discussion, but I got to move us on. Go
They're
ahead.
certainly
finish point.
promoting it that way.
Yeah, they are.
So, I want to make sure to get through the news and leave time for the actual discussion, and we still got to get a couple of breaks in. But here's some more superhero movie news, and I'm just going to kind of throw these out there. Unfortunately, we can't get into them as deep as we would want to. They're doing some. Did y'all hear about this? They're doing some reshoots on Suicide Squad.
I did hear about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and
Lighten the tone.
evidently, scuttlebutt is that it's because that trailer with the Queen soundtrack was so popular, but they were like, that was every funny scene in the movie was in the trailer. So they're reshooting it to try to quote unquote lighten the tone a little bit.
Like certain scenes. With
I
certain
think they're
characters.
adding more or putting a different slant on some of the scenes. But the point is, evidently, they're trying to lighten it up just a little bit. Because evidently there was such a great reaction to that trailer, which made the movie look kind of like a dark comedy.
Yeah.
And then also there's been a backlash against the sort of darkness of Batman v Superman. So
Which is ironic because you would think that Suicide Squad would be the darker movie.
Yeah, it would be the dark grim one.
Frankly.
I gotta be
and
honest.
I wouldn't have had a problem with an R-rated Suicide Squad movie.
that would be-
frankly.
that would totally lend
Yeah.
itself to
Yeah.
R-rated movie. Okay, so moving on. This actually is as this. My childhood geek responds well to this. I don't know if the movie's going to be any good, but they're doing a feature film version of Electra Woman and Dyna Girl.
Yes.
Yeah, and I guess it's going to be straight to video. But there's a trailer out right now on the Nerdist, and that's linked at shaneplays.com. So for those of y'all that don't, that was Sid and Marty Croft, wasn't it? Yeah. Growing up in the 70s, you had like
The Sid and Marty Croft Super Show.
yeah,
That's right.
and you had Electra Woman and Dyna Girl. You had
Wonderbug.
You had Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
Monsters,
You had HR
Dr.
Puffin,
Shrinker.
Dr. Shrinker, which was a total favorite of mine. This is like a 70s total cheese fest made into a So I don't know how they're going to play it. I don't know if it's going to be because the trailer looks like half serious, half funny. I don't know, but I got to check it out.
Well, both of the ladies that are playing Electra Woman and Dyna Girl are very funny.
I've heard they're kind of like internet famous.
They
right?
are.
Okay.
One is Dyna Girl is a YouTuber who was also who kind of fell back into being a celebrity / actress / comedian. She was doing the Drunk Kitchen channel on YouTube. Like she would just kind of get a little tipsy and start cooking. So, and it blew up, and she became super big on YouTube.
So can we say it was like Drunk History but with flavor?
I think so.
I'm sorry.
I think it was just it's just a little blonde girl drinking a lot of wine and cooking, and it was a pleasure to watch. And she became super famous. Anyway, so the Dyna Girl is her, and she's very, very funny. And Electra Woman, the lady who's playing Electra Woman, is also very, very funny. I think it's going to be. I think they're going to do it service. I genuinely do. Okay. I don't think this is going to be the grim and gritty.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Electra Woman and Dyna Girl.
Yeah. And I don't think they're playing it entirely for laughs either. It looks like it's kind of,
I think they're trying to make it a happy middle. Yeah.
Which is fine with me. So, all right, moving on, more movie news. We're kind of getting out of the comic book movie news. Goosebumps director Rob Letterman is going to helm the Dungeons and Dragons movie. So what do you call it? No word on the cast yet. They say they want a Vin Diesel type for the lead. And this article that I linked from comingsoon.net said, here's a hint. Get Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
But anyway,
he'll totally do it.
Yeah. And here's what's interesting with Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, because Vin Diesel's a huge Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, he's a big gamer.
Yeah. They're trying, because of Guardians of the Galaxy and how successful it was, they're trying to hit a Guardians of the Galaxy type note with the Dungeons and Dragons movie. So it's like serious, but how would you describe Guardians? It wasn't a comedy, but it had a whimsical kind of nature.
It was a lighthearted romp.
It was a lighthearted romp with serious moments.
It was. I would call it a buddy fantasy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they're trying to do that. That's the note they're trying to hit with the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I really don't think it can be any worse than that one that came out in the early 2000s with Jeremy Irons or whatever. Yeah. That thing was.
Well, it took itself very seriously.
Yeah. Well, I remember, Bill, you back in the day saying that you heard that the director had like the player's handbook on set. Like, this is how you do. I don't know. Anyway, all right, moving on, because time is a predator that stalks us all our lives. Brad Bird's The Iron Giant is finally coming to Blu-ray on September 6th. That'll make a lot of people happy.
Yeah. Speaking of Vin Diesel.
Yeah, a lot of. Was he?
He's the voice of the Iron Giant.
He's the voice of the Iron Giant.
I did not know that.
That's why
this is why we like to have you around.
That's why I'm the Professor Emeritus of Geekology.
I did not know that. Star Wars: The Force Awakens with deleted scenes is now. It's the digital version is actually available as of yesterday.
Got it yesterday.
Have you watched it yet?
Not yet.
Okay, the Blu-ray version is out April 5th, and it has like special features including deleted scenes. So, and then finally, high-end virtual reality is finally here. There's an article linked on the show notes at Engadget. You can go learn more. Oculus Rift is out, and the word on the street is it's very good, but it's going to cost you some money. So that's the word on the street. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have more with Michael Brown and Bill Brackeen talking comic book movies. Take us to a break, GL.
Hold on to your butt.
June 11th to 12th at the State House Convention Center in Little Rock, the River City Comic Expo is Arkansas's largest comic, toy, game, cosplay convention and now features the Little Rock Picture Show. Guests for 2016 include Neil Adams, Mike Zeck, James Aubert, Larry Hama, Michael Golden, and Arkansas's own Mitch and Elizabeth Brettweiser, John Lucas, and Dusty Higgins. You'll find booth after booth with artists and dealers representing comics, toys, books, movies, games, and so much more. So come on out to the River City Comic Expo, June 11th and 12th at the State House Convention Center in Little Rock. RiverCityComicExpo.com.
Fairly alarmed here.
Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, "The story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning." If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
MegaWars.net. The classic online space strategy game has returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate battle of the galaxies. Grab your slot today in one of the most hotly anticipated indie games of 2015. Visit MegaWars.net and get options only available during our pre-sale event running now. MegaWars.net.
The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions. Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/Shane Plays.
Hey, welcome back to Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks. Thanks for joining us. I'm joined by comedian Michael Brown, who is also the host and I guess basically the producer of Brain Trust.
Host, producer, creator.
Throw that out there again. It's the only
geek-centric pop culture trivia game show on YouTube that we know of.
All right, thank you. Check it out on YouTube. It's linked at shaneplays.com on the show notes.
Or you can just go to youtube.com/braintrust.
There you go. Even easier. So, and of course, we're joined by Bill Brackeen, who is a friend of the show. He's co-hosted. He's guest hosted. I've known Mike and Bill for about 20 years, something like that. Yeah. And then we're joined. Now he wants to talk on the radio. So we're joined by Bill's son, Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
Hi.
Hey, buddy. And what is your favorite comic book movie?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's a good one, man. Do you have a least favorite? Do you have one that you didn't like? Can't think of one?
The first Superman.
What? What do you mean by that? You mean Superman Returns, or do you mean the Man of Steel? Do you know which one you're talking about? He means Man of Steel?
No, he means the old Christopher Reeve.
Really? You didn't like that one? You didn't believe a man could fly? That was the tagline? All right, that's fair enough, man. I got to respect your geek sensibilities. I can't say that that's right or wrong. That's surprising, but I can't say if it's right or wrong. Well, Daniel, we're glad you're with us today. And of course, glad all you guys are here. So we had a very comic book movie centric news segment. So let's talk about comic book movies, which nobody can deny that's the thing right now. Right? Not just superhero, but comic book movies. Now, American cinema, or I guess cinema in general, but American movie making, Hollywood, goes in cycles. We had the age of the Western, where you couldn't, where do you think all those reruns of Westerns you never heard of come on TV? Sure. We had, sci-fi movies and all that. Now we are full on in the comic book movie, the comic book source material. So, and of course we had... the big movie that just came out last week was Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. And we all three just happened to run into each other up there. And we actually you recorded for your YouTube channel a quick reactions of what we thought.
Yeah, I got a reaction of you and Bill and my technical director, Leif Hassel. But as some certain people have pointed out to me, "Hey, Mike, you never said what you thought about it."
Well, what did you think?
Upon reflection,
but see, we didn't have the ability of reflection.
I know, and that's okay. All right. My initial reaction in the moment when you and I were talking, when we were all talking in the lobby at the theater, my initial reaction was, okay,
that's all right.
All right. I mean, sincerely, there are a lot of things I would change if I had my druthers.
If any movie needs to be re-edited, it's this movie.
Mostly, it was the actual filmmaking. It was which I think maybe hamstrung the plot, the overall plot of the story. Right. So there are some technical aspects of the movie that I probably wouldn't have done the way that Zack Snyder did it. However, as a whole, I was like, that's what we're going to get, so we might as well accept it.
It's like watching like Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that it's a better movie than the old Godzilla movies, which I love, by the way. But if you go see Batman v Superman, you kind of know what you're getting into.
Well, this didn't automatically make me not a fan of Superman. This did not make me automatically not a fan of Batman. I'm still a fan of Superman. I'm still a fan of Batman. I'm still a fan of DC Comics. But
it sounds like you like it less now than you did when you first came out of the theater.
I don't like it less, but I think since I've had about a week and 2 days to process it, and I've literally listened to hundreds of hours of commentary and retrospective and spoiler analysis, I have kind of garnered an opinion of, believe it or not, it could have been worse.
Oh, it could have been
a lot worse.
Been a heck of a lot worse. Now, I'm going to let Bill give his take, and then I'm going to let Zach, who was texting me and tweeting me, and basically, he basically threw the essence of Batman v Superman on his bed and rolled around in it after the movie because he loved it so much. But I'm going to let him give his take. So instead of the money, it was I don't know, what would be the equivalent of money with Batman v Superman, Michael?
Show me the money?
No, you know how like you see in the movies people throw money on the bed and they roll around in it, like reveling in their new life or whatever.
Batarangs.
Yeah, the batarangs.
Batarangs. Just rolling around in batarangs.
S-shields on his bed and roll around. So my take was it was almost two different movies. The first half was very slow and ponderous and very horribly edited. The second half came together a lot better. And by the time and I'm not spoiling anything here, Batman and Superman fight. By the time they fight,
it's in the title.
Yeah, by the time they fight, I'm like, well, let's get past this to get to the other stuff. But not that I didn't enjoy the fight. The fight was fine.
Yeah.
But at this point, I almost felt guilty for this is why I came to watch these two fight, right? Like I'm watching, Mexican wrestling or something.
Right.
Yeah. It could have been a lot worse. There was a lot of really cool stuff surrounded by, I'm like, this should have been edited differently or something. It just felt kind of off. And I'm totally happy if Zack Snyder steps away from the DC Comics universe, because I don't like the dark tone. I don't think, why has it got to be dark?
Well, are they not shooting Justice League as we speak, or
I'm sure,
in the next week?
Sure
I believe it's about to start if it hasn't already, and he's doing it.
I just don't get why he's the guy. But and to sum it up, great action movie, great geek. I get to watch Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and all that. But I don't think it was as tight, and I don't think it has the appeal, the more general appeal of like the Marvel movies.
How many times have you seen it?
Just once.
How many times have you seen it?
Just once.
All right. So, Bill, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think you kind of hit on something there. There is a distinct tonal difference between. I mean, there are only two movies into it, but with Man of Steel and now Batman v Superman. But there's a definite tonal difference between the way DC is doing it and the way Marvel is doing it. And Marvel, I think, is having a lot more fun than DC is. DC is sort of suffering from, this is all very serious. And
well, I didn't like Zack Snyder's tone on Man of Steel either.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I went into this movie expecting to really not like it.
Oh, really? Okay.
And Zack Snyder's a big part of that. I don't think I've liked anything he's done since 300.
I liked
And
He did Watchmen, right?
I could go on for about half an hour with my issues with Watchmen.
My bad.
And it all centers around Zack Snyder.
Okay.
The I was very pleasantly surprised by Batman versus Superman. It didn't have a lot of his. I mean, certainly it was overindulgent on his part with all the slow motion shots and the murky scenes and the dreary color palette.
Why does he do that?
And
does anybody know, with all this reading and commentary, why does he do that? Does anybody know what his justification
just his style,
is?
as far as I can tell. I mean,
it's a comic book movie, dude.
I mean, strangely, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he did that in Watchmen.
He didn't. No,
Watchmen had a lot brighter palette.
It wasn't as washed out,
and that would have been appropriate in Watchmen. But with these characters, and I think it's just they're very self-conscious about trying to go against type. With we don't do these bright, colorful superheroes here.
But like Superman's the original bright, colorful. Anyway.
And I kind of almost think that's a studio thing. I think they're sort of embarrassed to be making comic book movies. And they sort of project that in a lot of their advertising and their press.
They're so embarrassed that they've got a private jet now, paid for by this movie.
All right.
Yeah.
I've got to let. Well, go ahead, Bill.
I mean, basically, just to sum it. I mean, I thought that it's a lot better than I expected it to be. I mean, I went into it bracing myself for it to be horrible. It wasn't.
I didn't. I wasn't
there were laughs. Which I wasn't expecting. I mean, there's not a lot of them, but there are some lighthearted moments that that get big reactions because you're not expecting them. There's the action is very well choreographed and spot on. And
there's a scene where Batfleck goes berserk on a group of bad dudes. That's a great scene.
Go ahead.
And the biggest complaint I have about the film is that Superman is very underwritten and very underacted, and that's basically it.
It was really. I mean, that was what I did a spoiler-free review on ShanePlays.com and on my YouTube channel. There were times I'm like, whose movie is this? Like, well, who is this movie supposed to be about? And then the answer is, I guess, the Justice League being set up, because it wasn't Lois Lane's movie, it wasn't Batman's movie, it wasn't Superman's movie. I mean, whose movie was it? You know,
I would argue it's Batman's movie.
Yeah, it almost
because
feels like
he gets top billing.
He's the one who goes on the emotional journey.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking, let me let Zach go ahead. And, you got to go ahead and tell everyone what you've already told me.
Well, I went into the movie with low expectations. I knew it wasn't going to be as bad as Fantastic Four, because that movie was
I still haven't seen Fantastic Four.
You don't want to see it. Don't go watch it. Don't. But I went with low expectations.
Michael's biting his lip over there over something.
What you guys say about Fantastic Four?
It's I never saw it. That's number one. The new Fantastic Four, the brand new Fantastic Four. Yeah, no, I avoided that like a plague.
Well, you look personally wounded by it.
Boy, that's why Fantastic Four is a great example of why Batman v Superman is not terrible.
Exactly.
Right? No,
it could have been. That's my point.
No, it could. Okay, but anyway,
it could have been way worse.
Zach loved it.
I love it because but this is the thing.
You've already seen it at least twice.
All
right.
He was complaining about not enough Superman, scenes. Well, I loved it. I am tired of Lois Lane being saved by Superman. I am tired of it.
Okay.
I love.
She should have, and this is a minor spoiler, but she should have gone splat. All right, GL's nodding his head. All right. So back.
I'll give you a spoiler right now. Jimmy Olsen went splat. The dude that got killed in the desert when that was Jimmy Olsen.
I was wondering if that was Jimmy Olsen.
That was Jimmy Olsen, and Jesse Eisenberg was originally supposed to play that part. Jesse Eisenberg auditioned to be Jimmy Olsen, who was going to be taken out within the first 20 minutes of the first act.
That was definitely Jimmy Olsen. I was
Jimmy
wondering.
Olsen was the photographer for the Daily Planet, but he was also a secret agent.
Yeah,
Did you guys like Lex Luthor?
Hey, he's Mr.
Did you like the
Action.
character?
Yeah, he's Mr. Action. That's right.
All right, Zach's asking a question that we'll get to when we come back from the break. Did we like Zach Eisenberg as... Did I say Zach?
Jesse
Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Let me give some love to one of our sponsors. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking more about Batman v Superman and hopefully just comic book movies in general, if time allows. Some goblins are your friends. Game Goblins is Central Arkansas's premier retailer of Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures, and hobby accessories. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. Conveniently located 1121 South Bowman, right on the corner of Bowman and Canis in West Little Rock, and staffed by friendly employees, Game Goblins has expanded their store size, and there's plenty of room for exciting inventory and tables for play space. For all of your gaming needs, I heartily recommend Game Goblins. Make sure to check out their customer loyalty program that rewards you based on your actual purchases. First-time customers mention Shane Plays and receive $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them at gamegoblins.com. And don't forget, on April 16th, they're having I think a 4-year birthday party. Go to gamegoblins.com to learn more about that. Tell them Shane Plays sent you.
Hold on to your butts.
June 11th to 12th at the State House Convention Center in Little Rock, the River City Comic Expo is Arkansas's largest comic, toy, game, cosplay convention and now features the Little Rock Picture Show. Guests for 2016 include Neil Adams, Mike Zeck, James Aubert, Larry Hama, Michael Golden, and Arkansas's own Mitch and Elizabeth Brettreiser, John Lucas, and Dusty Higgins. You'll find booth after booth with artists and dealers representing comics, toys, books, movies, games, and so much more. So come on out to the River City Comic Expo, June 11th and 12th at the State House Convention Center in Little Rock. RiverCityComicExpo.com.
Fairly alarmed here.
Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
Megawars.net. The classic online space strategy game is returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate battle of the galaxies. Grab your slot today in one of the most hotly anticipated indie games of 2015. Visit megawars.net and get options only available during our pre-sale event running now. Megawars.net.
The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions, Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/Shane Plays.
Welcome back to Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks. Remember, this show is interactive, and we're talking about comic book movies and Batman v Superman. If you want to call in, it's 501-823-0965, or you can tweet me at Shane Plays. So, anyway, right before the break, Zach basically asked us, what do we think of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor? I don't want to spend too much time on this because I want to at least try to get to what our favorite and least favorite comic book movies are. But I thought going in, I was really going to like him as Lex Luthor. I thought, oh, he's an evil Mark Zuckerberg. That's kind of, I was like, that's cool. That's a modern way to do it. But he ended up being sort of like a Robin Williams on cocaine, crack or something. He was scatterbrained and all over the place, and it didn't work for me. So, well, how about you guys?
I think that he did the best job that could be expected from the part that was written for him.
Okay.
I mean, they wrote the part with this. This is clearly what Snyder and Nolan and the guys who did the movie.
This sort of like scatterbrained mad genius thing.
Yeah, and clearly he's a minion for somebody else down the road.
Right. Yeah, they basically teased. I mean, I'll just say it. They teased Darkseid pretty hard if you knew what to look for.
Have you seen the deleted scene that they released this past week?
No.
The 45-second deleted scene of Jesse Eisenberg in the Kryptonian ship being discovered. Like the soldiers come in because they're like, oh, there's a problem or whatever.
Zach's in there getting all excited.
And have you seen it? Have you seen the deleted scene, Zach?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I think this is the problem with the whole movie. The whole movie. It's not just Jesse Eisenberg's performance, because I think we're looking through a keyhole at a universe right now.
All right.
This whole movie, as a comedian, I could say this. This whole movie is the setup to the joke, and we haven't gotten the punchline yet.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. Well, but by the same token, the only thing we can judge the movie by is what we've seen
so far.
I understand.
Right.
I understand.
Okay.
But historically, and I say historically as of 1985 on, Lex Luthor was a corporate tycoon, and that was his. That's what made him an untouchable villain, because he was legit.
Right.
You know,
we had the legit front. Right.
Yeah.
And before that, he was a mad scientist.
He was a mad scientist. So
then John Byrne reinvented him.
Exactly. And I think what they did is they tried to combine the two to the frenetic, eccentric mad scientist with a lot of money and a 21st century kind of new media empire, as well as the industries that Lex Corp has. I'd like to point out that one of Jesse Eisenberg's last lines in the movie, and this isn't a spoiler.
It's like he's coming or something like that, right? Or
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, I didn't catch the ding, ding.
What goes ding, ding, ding?
A bell?
A mother box.
A mother box.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
A mother box.
I didn't catch that.
That's
I was
right.
telling you, Zach, that I thought, here's why I was pretty sure that Darkseid's coming, because he was like, he knows, or something like that.
Of course, most of the people listening don't know what a mother box is.
I know.
And then they showed the upside down painting with the demons kind of coming down to Earth. So I was like, well, that's Darkseid and the parademons.
I'm telling you, this is the other reason why this movie is going to make so much money, because so many people are going to watch it over again to catch all the stuff you missed on the first time. Okay. And that's one of the things.
All right. So, got to move us on. We got about 6 minutes left to go so quick. Real quick, most favorite, least favorite comic book movie to date. And before I get to that, I want to throw out some love. I think a lot of people forget or aren't aware that the comic book movie that really kicked all this off, our current generation of comic book movies that are doing really well, was Blade. That kicked off. Now,
an R-rated Marvel movie?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But what I'm saying is there were comic book movies before that.
Oh, yeah.
But the one that said, oh, this can work on a major Hollywood level, I think was Blade. Because then after that, did we not get X-Men? Yeah. And then after that, did we not get Spider-Man?
I'll go one further.
Okay.
1989, Michael Keaton, Batman.
Yeah, but it didn't kick it off.
Oh, did it not?
I don't feel like it did.
How about you go back and historically look at every comic book movie that came out? There was at least one comic book movie that came out every year after 1989, all the way up until today. But I'm talking about the
current level of quality. And I
the current level of quality is the technology.
I'm talking about the current generation we're in. And what I mean by that is, I love the Michael Keaton Batman. Now, it
doesn't hold up, but okay.
The second one, it was okay.
No.
And then it kept getting worse. Although I did like, was it Batman Forever?
I like Batman Forever.
That's actually kind of a fun movie. GL's not happy with me. You're not happy with me about Batman Forever?
Batman Forever?
Not the nipples Batman. The one before that. with
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer and
yeah, that's Batman Forever with the Riddler, Jim Carrey.
That was a fun movie.
Oh my God,
you didn't like it? All right, well, you don't have to. I mean, that's fine. But my point is, I feel like that Blade kicked off the Marvel run of movies,
Right on.
and the Marvel movies has brought us to where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I agree.
So does that kind of carry weight at all? Or?
I would.
I just want Blade to get some love. Is all I'm saying.
You want Blade to get some love?
I think Blade's getting lost in the.
Well,
debate.
Blade is not part of the cinematic universe canon.
Neither are the Sam Raimi.
They got the rights
Spider-Man
back.
movies.
They did get the rights back, which means we might get a new Blade out of it. That might be fun.
Okay.
But as far as the genre is concerned, I would tend to agree that the Blade movie wound up spawning 2 sequels.
I think the Blade movie is what showed Hollywood, hey, we need to start making more Marvel.
We can start taking this a little bit more seriously.
Right. That's kind of my point. Now, least favorite and most favorite comic book, Dave Ellswick, who, I love Dave. Dave's a good friend. I'll be guest hosting his show this Wednesday. I texted him. He said his least favorite is Daredevil.
The Affleck Daredevil?
Yeah, and his most favorite is Captain America Winter Soldier. So
those are 2 solid choices.
Yeah, so what about you there, Mr. Brown?
You know what? Honestly, I'm not going to go all time. I'm going to go like 21st century.
Let's say current slate.
Current slate. My favorite one is the first Iron Man.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
great one.
Because that was the kickoff.
That kicked
of all
off the Marvel
awesome.
Cinematic Universe.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But in and of itself, back to front, Iron Man is pretty flawless.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. Frankly,
and then it fired on every cylinder.
Yeah,
great movie.
Yeah, it hit you in the feels.
What about you there, Mr.
I'm going to go
Brackeen?
Captain America: The First Avenger.
That is your favorite?
That's my favorite.
Okay.
That one makes my top 5.
Yeah,
really? Okay.
I think it. I still think. I mean, Winter Soldier. I agree with Dave. Is an awesome movie, but if you go back and watch Captain America: The First Avenger, it hits every note.
Yeah.
It captures the essence of the character. I think more so than any of the other Marvel films have done. It's literally the perfect Marvel movie.
I can't agree. I cannot disagree with anything he just said.
I think my favorite, I've got to give it a tie. I really liked the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in the theater.
I don't think any less of you.
And feeling so good. I'm like, Spider-Man. When he's in trouble with Green Goblin and then the New Yorkers started helping him out and throwing stuff. I don't know. That just hit a note with me. I really liked it a lot. Okay. Yeah. And I'm a big Spider-Man nerd. Now, I've got to tie that with the first Avengers.
The first Avengers movie.
Yeah, the first Avengers movie. I was like, they did such a perfect job with this with the Avengers.
It was a good ensemble.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it had pretty good balance.
Now, all the other ones, Captain America, Winter Soldier, now I got to admit, because I'm busy and I have a 2-year-old son now, I haven't seen Ant-Man, which I hear is a great movie.
Are you kidding?
I want to see it really bad.
You will love Ant-Man.
I want to see it really bad. Now, my worst, I probably got to go. I went and watched it again, and the Ben Affleck Daredevil really is a bit of a stinker. It's just not. And they can't get the Hulk right either.
Yeah.
In either of his.
But I don't think Daredevil is as bad as Batman and Robin.
Oh, nowhere near. But we're talking about the current slate. Yeah, if I had to pick, why did you make that movie? I personally will punch you in the nose. That would be the George Clooney Batman and Robin. What were they thinking?
Well, even Clooney owns up to saying he killed the franchise.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I got to wrap us up, guys. I think
this show could be 3 hours, by the way.
Yeah, totally easy. Yeah, but there's bills to pay. So, okay. So, the future of the comic book movies. I think we're in the middle of the. I don't think we're anywhere near the end. I think we're in the middle. Okay, I got to wrap us up, guys. Michael Brown from Brain Trust and Bill Brackeen. I'm going to finish this with our tweet of the week. Mark Hamill himself, non-disclosure agreement, being asked to describe episode 8 in 2 words. All right.